Welcome to Foundational Knowledge, Global Over-the-Counter Regulatory Frameworks. Over-the-counter drugs play a pivotal role in healthcare systems worldwide by enabling consumers to treat common ailments without a prescription. However, the regulatory landscape for OTC drugs varies significantly across regions, with each maintaining specific requirements for approval, safety, labeling, and marketing. Objectives: to understand the global OTC regulatory frameworks, to compare and contrast OTC approval processes across regions, to highlight strategies to meet regulatory requirements for global OTC drug launches, and to apply knowledge to assist clients in navigating diverse frameworks. For example, a pharmaceutical company launching an anti-allergy OTC drug must meet US FDA's monograph requirements, but for Canada must align with Health Canada's natural health product standards. Foundation of OTC regulations. What are OTC drugs? OTC drugs are medications available to consumers without a prescription. They are approved based on their safety profile when used as directed. Characteristics: low potential for misuse, clear instructions labeling sufficient for self-diagnosis and use, proven safe and efficacy in intended populations. Example: pain relievers like acetaminophen or ibuprofen are globally recognized OTC products with established safety profiles. Significance of regulatory frameworks: to ensure consumer safety and efficacy of OTC products, to streamline access to treatments for minor and chronic ailments, to prevent misuse or overuse via clear labeling and limits on active ingredient strengths. Mastery tip: familiarize yourself with the regulatory terminology such as monograph systems used in the US versus positive lists in the EU for faster interpretation of regional requirements. Key global regulatory frameworks: United States OTC regulatory framework, regulatory body, US FDA, approval pathways, monograph route. The FDA publishes OTC drug monographs detailing permissible active ingredients, dosages, formulations, and labeling requirements. Products conforming to the monograph can be sold without further review. New drug application, required for OTCs with ingredients or claims not covered under a monograph. Example: a generic cold medication aligning with the OTC monograph for decongestants, pseudoephedrine, does not need an NDA. However, a new formulation combining probiotics would require an NDA. The European Union OTC framework, regulatory bodies, European medicine agencies and respective national regulatory agencies. Approval pathways. Products may be marketed via the centralized procedure, mutual recognition, or national procedures. Many medications that are prescription-based in the US can be sold OTC in the EU, subject to safety assessments. Ibuprofen in low dosages, 200 mg, is available OTC in the EU, but may require a prescription in other regions for higher doses. Canada Framework, regulatory body, Health Canada. OTC drugs are regulated through the NNHPD, which is the Natural and Non-Prescription Health Products Directorate. Products must comply with the natural health product regulations for safety, efficacy, and labeling. An herbal remedy for insomnia requires evidence of natural ingredient safety and compliance with the NNHPD standards. Japan Framework. The PMDA, or Pharmaceuticals and Medical Device Agency. Categorization. Drugs classified into 3 risk levels, class 1 to 3 OTC. Higher risk OTC such as gastrointestinal agents must be sold under pharmacist supervision. A gastrointestinal enzyme OTC in Japan falls under risk class 1, requiring pharmacist confirmation during purchase. The China Framework. The NMPA, or the National Medical Product Administration, approval process requires comprehensive clinical studies and clear safety profiles for OTC conversion. A topical cream for fungal infections, previously prescription only, becomes an OTC following safety evaluation meetings with NMPA. Common challenges in OTC development and approval: diverse requirements, variances in labeling, classification, and ingredient thresholds. Example: a cough suppressant may be OTC in one country and prescription only in another due to dosage restrictions. Labeling compliance: strict rules on presenting dosing instructions, contraindications, and active ingredient details. For instance, FDA mandates drug fact labels where EU requires multilingual SMPCs. Harmonized marketing: global consistency in formulations and messaging is difficult to achieve when dealing with different frameworks. Mastery tip: to maintain a regulatory matrix detailing requirements for all target markets to streamline global OTC compliance workflows. Application for mastery understanding: 10 practical examples of applying regulatory knowledge. US monograph compliance, Align an OTC pain reliever formulation with pre-approved FDA monographs. Centralized procedure in the European Union. Obtain an EU-wide approval for a cold remedy via the EMA centralized pathway. Labeling translation. Leverage linguistic services for compliance with bilingual requirements in Canada. Pharmacist-only products in Japan. Develop risk-based marketing for high-risk OTCs under Class 1 in Japan. Dose-specific product segmentation. Sell low-dose ibuprofen OTC in Europe, reserving high doses for research markets. Natural therapeutics. Register a herbal remedy for digestion under NNHB standards in Canada. Dosage adjustments. Lower pseudoephedrine properties for alignment with stricter European Union limits. Marketing expansion. Roll out sodium bicarbonate antacids with tailored labeling coloring for US and EU audiences. Risk-based pharmacovigilance. Develop post-marketing surveys for China for an antifungal agents OTC switch. Cultural adaptations. Adjust marketing claims on sinus treatments to address cultural perceptions in Asia versus Europe.